Most social mistakes are not caused by bad intentions. They are caused by untraceable decisions. You felt something, you reacted, and later you cannot explain why. The goal here is simple and slightly radical. Make social decisions traceable, the way you make technical decisions traceable. That does not mean making people mechanical. It means you stop worshiping the loudest signal in the room. Instead, you ask what system produced that signal. You ask what decision is being requested of you. You look for incentives, for authority, for hidden costs. You notice which branch you are about to enter and what it would take to leave it. Start with the first high-impact move. Read the system, not the moment. A single message, a sharp tone, a compliment, or a delay can mean 10 different things. The meaning depends on the system that generated it. Is this a friendship system, a team system, a customer system, or a power system? Is the environment stable, or is it under stress? Are people rewarded for truth, or for speed, or for loyalty? When you read the system first, you stop overfitting to one data point. Next, classify the signal before you argue with it. A systems-minded person separates inputs. You sort what was said, what was done, and what the context makes likely. You also track time. Timing is a signal. Repetition is a signal. Silence is a signal. When you blend verbal, nonverbal, contextual, and temporal data together, you lose resolution. When you separate them, you can see patterns without inventing stories. Now bring in trust and risk, because social decisions are rarely symmetric. Ask yourself, what is at stake and for whom? How reversible is the next step?
Who has authority here, and who only has influence?
What dependencies exist, and which ones are being created? A lot of social pain comes from committing too early while pretending it is low cost. If stakes are unclear or reversibility is low, the clean recovery is to delay or to reduce commitment. Then check conflict and repair requirements before you accept reassurance. Many people confuse an apology with repair. An apology is a statement. Repair is observable correction over time. If someone says the right words but keeps producing the same outcome, the system has not changed. The map says require evidence of correction, not only a display of regret. That protects you from being trained by cycles of harm and relief. After that, locate status, power, and boundaries, because they shape everything that is allowed to happen next. Status changes what people can say safely. Power changes what people can do without consequences. Boundaries define what you will do, what you will not do, and what happens if a line is crossed. Many engineers and analysts are comfortable with logic, but uncomfortable with boundary enforcement. Yet boundaries are just interface contracts for human systems. Without them, you do not get reliability, you get drift. Group and coalition effects are the next layer. One-on-one dynamics change when an audience appears. Coalitions form quietly, often without explicit coordination. A comment that seems personal may be a move in a group game. If you ignore group incentives, you will misread motives, and you will take on risks you did not agree to. So you ask, who benefits if I accept this framing? Who loses if I push back? Who is watching, and what do they need to see? Then adjust for social pressure, because pressure is one of the most common distortions. Pressure often arrives wearing the mask of urgency. Someone acts intense, or confident, or insistent, and your body concludes, this must be important. But intensity is not importance. Confidence is not evidence. Pressure is not a real deadline. The fix is to identify the actual decision point. Then test whether the deadline is real, and whether the decision is reversible. If it is not reversible, urgency should trigger caution, not speed. All of that leads into the central tool, a canonical decision trace. It begins with a surprisingly grounding question. Did a specific decision point exist? Not a vibe, not a general discomfort, not an argument about who is right. A decision point. If no decision point exists, the correct outcome is to keep observing. Do not force a verdict. Many social errors are just premature closure, the need to label someone or label a situation so you can feel done. If a decision point does exist, the next question is whether you identified observable signals. If you cannot point to observations, you do not have data, you have interpretation. The recovery is simple. Separate your inputs again. What was verbal? What was nonverbal? what was contextual, what was temporal. That separation reduces the chance you are reacting to a projection. Once you have signals, you check stakes, reversibility, authority, and dependency. This is where systems thinkers calm themselves down. You stop treating every social choice like a forever choice. You stop treating every request like it comes with legitimate authority. If you did not check those variables, the recovery is to delay or reduce commitment. You can say yes to a small, reversible step without saying yes to the entire implied contract. Then comes the question that makes the whole system ethical and durable. Would the branch you are choosing remain defensible if it were visible to affected parties? If your decision would look shameful when observed by the people it impacts, you are probably making a trade you cannot justify. When the branch is not defensible, the clean options are revise, disclose, or exit. Revise means choose a different action. Disclose means bring the relevant people into the reality you are operating from. Exit means stop participating in a system that demands hidden behavior. If the branch is defensible, then act. Record the trace and review consequences. Recording is not bureaucratic. Recording is how you learn. It is how you build a personal dataset instead of relying on mood. Outcomes are feedback. If your model predicted safety and you got harm, update your trust estimate. If your model predicted conflict and you got repair, update your belief about the person and the system. Failure modes are predictable, and that is good news. One failure mode is treating intensity as importance. The recovery is to identify the actual decision point. Another is treating confidence as evidence. The recovery is to return to observable signals. A third is treating pressure as urgency. The recovery is to test reversibility and test whether the deadline is real. Another common failure is treating an apology as repair. The recovery is to require observable correction. And a subtle one is treating your framework as a verdict. The recovery is to update from behavior over time, because the framework is a map, not a judge. Notice what all these recoveries have in common. They do not require perfect social intuition. They require process. They give you a way to stay rational when you are tired or triggered or outnumbered. They also help neurodivergent and high-context readers for the same reason. The rules are explicit. The decisions become explainable, even when the environment is not. There is also a restraint built into the system. Use influence only when defensible. Influence is power. It shapes incentives and reputations. It can help or harm. If you can defend your influence, even under visibility, you can use it for common good outcomes. If you cannot defend it, the system warns you. Do not do it just because you can. So the closing frame is short enough to remember under stress. Read the system. Name the decision. Choose the defensible branch. Update the map. If you do those 4 things consistently, social life stays human, but your judgment stops being a mystery.